The phone call came on a Tuesday evening, 3 days before Thanksgiving. Naomi stared at her phone screen as it vibrated against the kitchen counter, her mother's name flashing across the display. Something cold settled in her stomach before she even answered. After 28 years of being the family scapegoat, she had developed an instinct for incoming disappointment. "Hi, Mom," Naomi said, tucking the phone between her ear and shoulder as she continued chopping vegetables for her dinner. "Naomi, honey, I need to talk to you about Thursday." Her mother's voice carried that particular tone Naomi had learned to dread. It was the voice Patricia Bennett used when she was about to deliver bad news while pretending it wasn't really bad at all. Naomi set down her knife. "What about Thursday?" "Well, your sister and I were talking and she's been under so much stress with the wedding planning and everything at work, and she really needs this Thanksgiving to be peaceful and drama-free." Patricia paused as if waiting for Naomi to fill in the blanks herself. "Okay," Naomi said slowly, her grip tightening on the phone. "And what does that have to do with me?" "Bethany specifically asked if you could skip Thanksgiving this year. She says she needs a break from the tension, and you know how things get when you two are in the same room. Your father and I think it might be best if you made other plans this year. Just this once. We can celebrate together another time." Naomi stood completely still in her small apartment kitchen, the words washing over her like ice water. The tension. As if the tension between her and Bethany was something they both contributed to equally. As if Naomi had ever done anything except try to have a normal relationship with her younger sister, only to be met with coldness, competition, and constant criticism. "You're telling me not to come home for Thanksgiving?" Naomi said, her voice flat. "We're just asking you to be understanding. Bethany has been through so much lately and we want to support her right now. Surely you can understand that. You're the older sister. You've always been the stronger one." Stronger. That was the word Patricia always used when she meant Naomi should be the one to sacrifice, to bend, to disappear when convenient. Bethany was sensitive, delicate, in need of protection. Naomi was strong, which apparently meant she didn't need a family or support or basic consideration. "I already bought my train ticket," Naomi said quietly. "Well, you can get a refund, can't you? Or use it another time." "I'm sorry, sweetheart, but this is what's best for everyone right now. You understand, don't you?" Naomi closed her eyes. She could push back. She could argue. She could point out that this was the fourth major family event she'd been excluded from in the past 2 years. She could remind her mother that she was also her daughter, that she also deserved a seat at the Thanksgiving table. But what would be the point? Patricia had already made her choice. She had been making the same choice for 28 years. "Fine," Naomi said. "I understand." "Oh good. I knew you would. You're such a good girl, Naomi. We'll do something special together soon, I promise. Maybe lunch next month, just the two of us." They both knew that lunch would never happen. Patricia would forget, or something would come up, or Bethany would need something. The pattern was as predictable as sunrise. After the call ended, Naomi stood in her kitchen for a long time, staring at the half-chopped vegetables on her cutting board. The apartment was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic outside. She had lived in this apartment for 3 years now, in a city 2 hours away from her hometown. She had told herself the distance was for her job, for independence, for a fresh start. But the truth was simpler and sadder. She had moved away because being close to her family only made it more obvious that she didn't really belong to them. Naomi walked to her couch and sat down, pulling a blanket around her shoulders even though the apartment wasn't cold. She thought about all the Thanksgivings she could remember. The year she was 12 and Bethany was 9, when Bethany had broken Naomi's science fair project and Patricia had said it was an accident, even though Naomi had seen the deliberate look on her sister's face. The year Naomi graduated high school as valedictorian, and the entire Thanksgiving conversation had centered on Bethany making the JV cheerleading squad. The year Naomi got her first real job offer, and Patricia had barely looked up from helping Bethany address Christmas cards. There had never been a Thanksgiving or a Christmas or a birthday, or any day at all where Naomi had felt like she mattered as much as Bethany did. She had spent her entire childhood and adolescence trying to figure out what she was doing wrong. She had been well-behaved, gotten good grades, never asked for much. She had thought if she was just good enough, smart enough, quiet enough, eventually her parents would see her the way they saw Bethany. Eventually she would be enough. Now, at 28, Naomi finally understood that the problem had never been her. Some families had scapegoats and golden children, and no amount of achievement or goodness would change those roles. Patricia and Roger Bennett had decided long ago which daughter would be treasured and which would be tolerated. Naomi had simply been born into the wrong role. She picked up her phone and opened her email, pulling up the train ticket confirmation. The refund policy was generous. She could get most of her money back if she canceled now. Her thumb hovered over the screen. Then she set the phone down. No, she wouldn't get a refund. She would still take that train on Thursday morning. She just wouldn't get off at her hometown stop. She would ride all the way to the city's downtown station. And she would find somewhere else to be on Thanksgiving. Somewhere she wouldn't have to feel like an inconvenience. Somewhere she wouldn't have to watch her mother fuss over Bethany while barely meeting her eyes. Naomi had read about a nice restaurant downtown that stayed open on Thanksgiving, serving a special holiday menu. She had seen the advertisement weeks ago and thought it seemed sad eating Thanksgiving dinner in a restaurant. But now it seemed like the best possible option. She would dress up, take herself out for a nice meal, and she would not let Patricia and Bethany and Roger steal any more of her peace. The next 2 days passed in a strange, numb haze. Naomi went to work at the nonprofit where she managed community outreach programs. She smiled at her coworkers when they talked about their Thanksgiving plans. She nodded when they asked about hers, giving vague answers about a quiet day. She didn't tell anyone that her family had uninvited her. The humiliation felt too raw, too personal. On Wednesday night, she packed a small overnight bag. Even though she wasn't going to her parents' house, she had booked a hotel room downtown. She would make a weekend of it. She would go to museums, see a movie, do all the things she never had time for. She would prove to herself that she didn't need Patricia and Roger and Bethany to have a good Thanksgiving. Thursday morning arrived cold and gray. Naomi dressed carefully in a dark green dress and a long brown coat. She did her makeup with extra care, straightened her hair until it fell smoothly past her shoulders. When she looked in the mirror, she saw a professional, put-together woman. No one would look at her and think her family didn't want her. The train ride downtown took 40 minutes. Naomi sat by the window and watched the landscape change from suburban houses to industrial buildings to city skyscrapers. She tried not to think about the fact that her train was passing through her hometown right now. She tried not to imagine her family gathering in her parents' house. Patricia probably in the kitchen fussing with the turkey, Roger setting up extra chairs, Bethany holding court in the living room, talking about her wedding plans and her job and her perfect life. They probably weren't even thinking about her. They were probably relieved she wasn't there to create tension, which really meant they were relieved they didn't have to make any effort to include her. By the time Naomi reached her hotel and checked in, it was almost noon. The restaurant didn't open until 2 o'clock for Thanksgiving service. She had time to kill. She walked through the downtown streets, looking at the decorated windows of closed shops. The city felt emptier than usual, most people already gathered with their families. At 1:45, Naomi walked to the restaurant. It was called the Harvest Table, and its windows glowed with warm light. Through the glass, she could see tables set with autumn decorations, small pumpkins and colorful leaves. She took a deep breath and walked inside. The host greeted her with a smile. "Happy Thanksgiving. Do you have a reservation?" "Yes, for Bennett." One person. If the host found anything sad about a single person dining alone on Thanksgiving, his professional demeanor didn't show it. He led Naomi to a small table by the window. It was a good table with a view of the street, but Naomi couldn't help noticing that she was surrounded by families. To her right, a couple with 2 young children. To her left, a large extended family that had pushed 3 tables together. Across the room, a group of college-age kids who seemed to be celebrating together. And there was Naomi, alone at her table for one, with an empty chair across from her that seemed to mock every life choice she had ever made. She ordered the traditional Thanksgiving dinner. Turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce, green beans, a roll. The waitress was kind, asking if she was sure she didn't want to order wine, saying it was a holiday after all. Naomi declined. Drinking alone in a restaurant on Thanksgiving felt like a step too far down a sad path. When the food arrived, it looked beautiful. Professional, perfectly prepared, nothing like Patricia's sometimes dry turkey or lumpy gravy. Naomi picked up her fork and took a bite of mashed potatoes. They were delicious, smooth and buttery. She took another bite. And another. And then she set down her fork because her eyes were filling with tears and she couldn't see her plate anymore. This was the loneliest she had ever felt in her entire life. Surrounded by happy families, eating a perfect Thanksgiving dinner that tasted like absolutely nothing because she had no one to share it with. Her family was 2 hours away, gathered around Patricia's table, and they had deliberately excluded her. They were probably having a wonderful time. Bethany was probably thrilled that she didn't have to share the spotlight. Naomi pressed her napkin to her eyes, trying to stop the tears before they fell. She would not cry in this restaurant. She would not give her family the power to ruin this day. She had made the choice to be here. She had chosen her dignity over begging for a place at a table where she wasn't wanted. That was something to be proud of, not something to cry about. "Excuse me." Naomi looked up, hastily dabbing at her eyes. A woman stood next to her table, probably in her mid-50s, with dark hair streaked with gray and warm brown eyes. She wore a burgundy dress and carried herself with the kind of easy confidence that Naomi had always admired in other women but never quite managed herself. "I'm so sorry to bother you," the woman said. Her voice carried a slight accent, musical and kind. "But I couldn't help but notice you're dining alone, and I was wondering if you might like to join my family? We have more than enough room at our table, and no one should be by themselves on Thanksgiving." Naomi stared at her, completely taken off guard. "Oh, I don't want to intrude." "You wouldn't be intruding at all. In fact, you'd be doing us a favor. My son just informed me that he thinks my turkey story is boring, and I could use an ally." The woman smiled, and there was something so genuinely warm in her expression that Naomi felt something tight in her chest start to loosen. She glanced past the woman to the large table against the far wall. A family sat there, 3 generations from the look of it. A man who was probably the woman's husband. 2 younger adults, possibly her children. They were all looking over with friendly, open expressions. No pity. No awkwardness. Just simple human kindness. "Are you sure?" Naomi asked, her voice coming out smaller than she intended. "Absolutely certain. I'm Helena Rodriguez, by the way. And that rowdy group over there is my family. We'd love to have you join us." Naomi stood up slowly, her legs feeling strangely unsteady. "I'm Naomi Bennett. And thank you. That's very kind of you." Helena's smile widened. "Wonderful. Bring your things. We'll have the staff move your dinner over." As Naomi gathered her purse and followed Helena across the restaurant, she felt like she was in a dream. This kind of thing didn't happen in real life. Strangers didn't invite lonely people to join their family Thanksgiving dinner. But apparently sometimes they did, because here she was, approaching a table full of people who were all smiling at her like she was a welcome addition instead of an awkward intrusion. "Everyone, this is Naomi," Helena announced as they reached the table. "She's going to be joining us for dinner. Naomi, this is my husband Paul, my daughter Sophia, and my son Benjamin." Paul stood up to shake her hand, a tall man with graying hair and a firm grip. "Any friend of Helena's is family here. Please sit down." Sophia, who looked to be about Naomi's age with beautiful dark curls and bright lipstick, scooted over to make room. "I love your dress. That color is gorgeous on you." Benjamin, younger than his sister with an easy smile, raised his glass. "Happy Thanksgiving, Naomi. Fair warning, my mother is absolutely going to tell the turkey story no matter what I said." They made space for Naomi between Sophia and Helena, and within minutes, a staff member had transferred her dinner to their table. The conversation flowed around her, easy and comfortable. Helena did indeed tell her turkey story, about the year she tried to deep fry a turkey and nearly set the garage on fire. Paul told about the Thanksgiving he proposed to Helena, interrupting the family dinner with a ring hidden in the mashed potatoes. Sophia and Benjamin bickered good-naturedly about who made the better pumpkin pie. And slowly, carefully, Naomi began to relax. She laughed at Benjamin's jokes. She complimented Sophia's earrings. She listened to Helena's stories about immigrating from Colombia as a young woman and building a life in this country. She felt the knot in her chest, the one that had been there since Tuesday evening, start to loosen. No one asked why she was alone. No one made her feel like a charity case. They simply included her, as naturally as if she had always been meant to sit at this table. For the first time in 3 days, Naomi didn't feel like she was unwanted. For the first time in years, maybe in her whole life, she felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. The restaurant hummed with conversation and the clinking of silverware against plates. Naomi found herself relaxing in a way she hadn't expected, the tight anxiety in her shoulders gradually easing as the Rodriguez family drew her into their warmth. It wasn't forced or performative. They genuinely seemed happy to have her there. "So Naomi," Paul said, cutting into his turkey with the precision of someone who took their food seriously, "what do you do for work?" It was a normal question, the kind people asked at dinner parties and family gatherings. But no one in Naomi's biological family ever asked her about work. Patricia would change the subject. Roger would nod vaguely and turn to Bethany. But here was this stranger, this kind man who had welcomed her to his table, looking at her with genuine interest. "I work for a nonprofit called Community Bridges," Naomi said. "We do outreach programs for underserved neighborhoods. Educational workshops, job training, things like that. I manage the program development and community partnerships. Sophia's eyes lit up. That's amazing. I work in marketing for a tech company, and we're always looking for good nonprofits to partner with. Do you ever do corporate partnerships? We do, Naomi said, feeling a flutter of professional interest. We're actually looking to expand our job training program, and corporate partners would be ideal. Give me your card before we leave, Sophia said. I'd love to connect you with our community outreach director. Just like that. No performance necessary. No proving herself. Just genuine interest and a desire to help. Naomi had to take a sip of water to cover the sudden emotion welling up in her throat. What about you? Naomi asked, turning to Benjamin. What do you do? I teach 5th grade, Benjamin said with a grin. Which means I spend most of my time breaking up arguments about Pokemon cards and explaining why we can't have class outside every day. Helena laughed. He's being modest. He won Teacher of the Year for his district last spring. Mom, Benjamin said, but he was smiling. You don't have to tell everyone that. I'm proud of you, Helena said simply. Why wouldn't I tell people? The casual affection between them was like watching something from another world. Naomi tried to imagine her mother saying something like that about her accomplishments. Patricia had attended her college graduation, but spent most of the ceremony commenting on how hot it was and asking when they could leave. When Naomi got her current job, Patricia's response had been, "That's nice, dear. Did you hear Bethany got promoted to senior associate? How long have you lived in the city?" Paul asked, pulling Naomi back into the conversation. About 3 years. I moved here for work, but I've grown to really love it. There's always something happening, you know? Museums, concerts, festivals. I never run out of things to do. Do you live alone? Helena asked, and there was no judgment in the question, just curiosity. I do, Naomi said. I have a small apartment in the West Park neighborhood. It's perfect for me. Quiet, but close to everything. That's a great neighborhood, Sophia said. I'm in the Arts District, about 15 minutes from there. We should get coffee sometime. I'm always looking for new friends in the city. Naomi blinked. Was this really happening? Was this beautiful, successful woman actually asking to be her friend? Just like that, over Thanksgiving dinner in a restaurant? I'd really like that, Naomi said, trying not to sound as desperately grateful as she felt. The conversation continued to flow around the table. Helena told stories about the early years of her marriage, when she and Paul had been young and broke and in love. Paul talked about building his consulting business from nothing. Sophia discussed her latest marketing campaign. Benjamin shared funny stories from his classroom. And they kept pulling Naomi into the conversation, asking her opinions, laughing at her comments, treating her like she belonged. Dessert arrived, 3 kinds of pie to share among the table. Pumpkin, apple, and pecan. Helena insisted everyone try all 3, serving generous slices onto each plate. Naomi bit into the pumpkin pie and closed her eyes. It was perfect, spiced just right, the crust flaky and buttery. Good? Helena asked, watching her with a smile. Incredible, Naomi said. See, this is why we come here every year, Benjamin said. None of us can bake like this. Every year? Naomi asked. You come to a restaurant for Thanksgiving every year? Helena nodded. We started about 10 years ago. My mother had just passed away and she had always hosted Thanksgiving. That first year without her, I couldn't bear the thought of trying to recreate her dinner. It felt wrong. So we came here instead and we started our own tradition. I'm sorry about your mother, Naomi said softly. Thank you, dear. She was an incredible woman. But she would have loved this tradition. She always said family is about being together, not about the location or the food. The love is what matters. Naomi felt her eyes prickle again. The love is what matters. What a simple, obvious truth. And yet it was something Naomi had never experienced in her own family. With the Bennetts, the location mattered. The performance mattered. Keeping up appearances mattered. Protecting Bethany's feelings mattered. But love? Actual, unconditional love? That had never been part of the equation. Are you all right? Helena asked quietly, leaning closer. Naomi nodded quickly. Yes, I'm fine. This has been really nice. Thank you for inviting me to join you. Helena studied her face for a moment, those warm brown eyes seeing more than Naomi wanted to reveal. But she didn't push. She simply patted Naomi's hand and said, We're glad you're here. As they finished dessert and the meal wound down, Naomi felt a familiar dread creeping in. This wonderful interlude was about to end. She would go back to her hotel room alone. Tomorrow she would return to her apartment, alone. And the Rodriguez family would go back to their lives, and this would become a nice story they told sometimes. Remember that Thanksgiving we invited that lonely girl to join us? I wonder whatever happened to her. The check arrived and Paul reached for it immediately. Naomi started to protest. Please let me pay for my portion, she said. Absolutely not, Paul said firmly. You're our guest. But I can't let you pay for my dinner. You've already been so kind. Helena touched her arm. Naomi, you've given us a gift today. You've shared this meal with us, listened to our stories, laughed at Benjamin's terrible jokes. That's worth far more than a dinner. My jokes aren't terrible, Benjamin protested, but he was grinning. As they gathered their things and prepared to leave, Naomi felt the evening slipping away. She helped Sophia with her coat, thanked Paul again for dinner, tried to memorize every detail of this unexpected kindness. They walked out into the cool evening air together. The street was quiet, most of the city still inside with their families. Naomi started to say goodbye, to thank them one more time and walk away to her hotel. But Helena stopped her. Naomi, before you go, I need your phone number. Naomi must have looked surprised because Helena laughed. I'm serious. I want to stay in touch with you. And Sophia really did mean it about getting coffee. Didn't you, Sophia? Absolutely, Sophia said, pulling out her own phone. Here, let's exchange numbers right now. An email, Helena added. I want your email too. I'm old-fashioned that way. Naomi fumbled for her phone, hardly believing this was happening. They weren't just being polite. They actually wanted to see her again. Within moments, her phone was buzzing with new contacts. Helena Rodriguez. Sophia Rodriguez. Even Benjamin added his number, saying something about a trivia team that needed members. I mean it, Helena said, holding both of Naomi's hands in hers. I'm going to call you next week. We'll have coffee. Just you and me. I want to hear more about your work, about your life here in the city. I'd really like that, Naomi said, and this time she couldn't keep the emotion out of her voice. Helena pulled her into a hug. It was warm and tight and motherly, and Naomi couldn't remember the last time Patricia had hugged her like this. Like she mattered. Like she was precious. When Helena released her, Sophia hugged her too, then Benjamin, then Paul. Each embrace felt like a small miracle, a tiny piece of healing she hadn't known she needed. Happy Thanksgiving, Naomi, Helena said. I'm so glad we met you. Happy Thanksgiving, Naomi whispered back. She watched them walk away together, a family unit moving in easy synchronization down the sidewalk. They were laughing about something, Paul's arm around Helena's shoulders, Sophia and Benjamin walking ahead. Naomi stood on the sidewalk for a long moment, her phone clutched in her hand, the contact information of the Rodriguez family glowing on her screen. She didn't know if they would really call. Maybe this was just something nice people said. Maybe by next week they would have forgotten all about the sad woman they took pity on at Thanksgiving. But maybe not. Maybe sometimes kindness was real. Maybe sometimes strangers became something more. Naomi walked back to her hotel with something she hadn't felt in a very long time. Not happiness exactly. Not yet. But something close to it. Something that felt like the possibility of hope. On Monday morning, Naomi returned to work still thinking about Thanksgiving dinner. The weekend had been quiet, just as she had planned. Museums, a movie, long walks through the city. But instead of feeling lonely, she had felt almost peaceful. She kept checking her phone, looking at the contact information for the Rodriguez family, wondering if they would really reach out. She didn't have to wonder long. Tuesday afternoon, her phone buzzed with a text message. Hi Naomi, this is Helena Rodriguez. I hope you had a good weekend. I was thinking about our conversation on Thursday, and I'd love to take you up on that coffee date. Are you free Saturday morning? There's a wonderful little cafe near the park that I think you'd love. Naomi read the message 3 times, making sure she wasn't misunderstanding. Helena had actually texted. She had actually remembered. She actually wanted to meet again. Naomi's fingers hovered over her phone for a moment before she typed back. Hi Helena. I'd love that. Saturday morning works perfectly for me. The response came within minutes. Wonderful. How about 10 a.m. at Rosewood Cafe? I'll send you the address. Saturday morning arrived with clear blue skies and a crispness in the air that promised winter was coming. Naomi dressed carefully in jeans and a red sweater, wanting to look put together but not too formal. She arrived at the cafe 5 minutes early and found Helena already there, sitting at a corner table with 2 steaming mugs in front of her. I took the liberty of ordering for you, Helena said, standing to hug Naomi. Vanilla latte if that's all right. But I can get you something else if you prefer. That's perfect, Naomi said, touched that Helena had thought to order for her. Patricia had never remembered how Naomi took her coffee, even after 28 years. They settled into their seats and for a moment, Naomi felt nervous. What did you talk about with someone you barely knew but who had already shown you more kindness than your own family? But Helena had a gift for making people comfortable. She asked about Naomi's week, about her work, about the nonprofits programs. She listened with full attention, asking follow-up questions that showed she was genuinely interested. You really love what you do, Helena observed after Naomi had spent 10 minutes enthusiastically describing a new job training program they were developing. I do, Naomi said. I mean, it's not always easy. Funding is always a challenge and sometimes it feels like we're trying to bail out the ocean with a teaspoon. But when we see someone get their GED or land a good job or gain confidence in themselves, those moments make everything worth it. That's how I feel about my work too, Helena said. I run a small translation and interpretation business. Legal documents, medical appointments, things like that. The pay isn't amazing, but knowing I'm helping people navigate systems they don't understand, giving them a voice, that's why I do it. They talked for over an hour, their coffee growing cold as they discovered shared interests and values. Helena asked about Naomi's family, and Naomi found herself being more honest than she had planned. We're not close, she admitted. I mean, we're related, obviously. But we've never really connected. I've always felt like the outsider. Helena's expression grew sympathetic. That must be very difficult. It is, Naomi said quietly. Especially around the holidays. I actually wasn't supposed to be at that restaurant on Thanksgiving. I was supposed to go home to my parents' house. But my mother called and told me not to come. My sister didn't want me there. She hadn't meant to say that last part. It just slipped out, the hurt and humiliation she had been holding inside. Helena reached across the table and took her hand. Oh, Naomi. I'm so sorry. No one deserves that. No one. It's okay, Naomi said automatically, the response trained into her over years of making excuses for her family. It's not okay, Helena said gently but firmly. You know that, don't you? What your mother did, what your sister wanted. That's not okay. That's not how families should treat each other. Naomi felt tears prickling at her eyes. I've spent my whole life trying to figure out what I did wrong. Why Bethany is the favorite. Why nothing I do is ever good enough. You didn't do anything wrong, Helena said. Sometimes families have patterns, unhealthy ones, and children get caught in roles that aren't fair. But that says nothing about your worth. Nothing at all. They talked for another hour after that. Helena shared stories from her own life, times when she had felt like an outsider, struggles she had faced. She talked about the importance of choosing your family, not just accepting the one you were born into. Family isn't just about blood, Helena said. It's about love, loyalty, showing up for each other. If your biological family can't do that, then you build a family that will. When they finally parted ways, Helena hugged her tightly. Same time next week? She asked. Really? Naomi said. Really? And bring your calendar. I want to invite you to Sunday dinner at our house. Paul makes the best lasagna you've ever tasted, and Sophia has been texting me all week asking when we're seeing you again. Over the following weeks, a pattern developed. Coffee with Helena on Saturday mornings became a standing date. Sophia texted Naomi during the week, sending funny memes and asking about her day. Benjamin invited her to his trivia team, which met every other Wednesday at a bar near her apartment. And Sunday dinners at the Rodriguez house became something Naomi looked forward to all week. The Rodriguez home was a comfortable two-story house in a tree-lined neighborhood, nothing fancy but filled with warmth and life. Family photos covered the walls. Books overflowed from shelves. The kitchen always smelled like something delicious. That first Sunday dinner, Naomi brought wine and flowers, unsure of the protocol. Helena had opened the door and immediately scolded her. You don't bring gifts when you come to family dinner, she said, but she was smiling. You just bring yourself. That's all we need. Paul's lasagna was indeed the best Naomi had ever tasted. They ate around a large dining table, passing dishes and talking over each other in the way of families who were comfortable together. No one was performing. No one was trying to one-up anyone else. Sophia teased Benjamin about his dating life. Benjamin complained about his school's new curriculum requirements. Paul and Helena bickered affectionately about whether they needed a new couch. And Naomi sat among them, included in every conversation, her opinions sought and valued. When she made a joke, everyone laughed. When she shared a work frustration, they offered sympathy and advice. It was so different from meals at the Bennett house, where Naomi had learned to stay quiet, to not draw attention, to let Bethany have the spotlight. You're quiet, Sophia said one evening, nudging Naomi's shoulder. What are you thinking about? Just how nice this is, Naomi said honestly. I'm not used to family dinners being this relaxed. What were your family dinners like? Benjamin asked. Naomi hesitated. She didn't want to be the sad friend who complained about her family. But everyone was looking at her with genuine curiosity and concern. Tense, she finally said. Everything had to be perfect. The right conversation topics, the right reactions. And my sister was always the center of attention. I learned pretty early to just stay quiet and fade into the background. Helena and Paul exchanged a look, one of those married couple conversations that happen without words. Well, you're not in the background here, Helena said. Here you're front and center. Mom's right, Sophia added. We want to hear what you think, what you're doing, what matters to you. That's what family does. The weeks turned into months. Fall became winter. Naomi's biological family reached out occasionally. Patricia sent generic text messages. Thinking of you, honey. Hope you're doing well. But she never actually asked Naomi to visit. Never suggested getting together. Never showed any real interest in Naomi's life. In contrast, the Rodriguez family wove Naomi into their routines. Helena called her during the week just to chat. Paul asked her advice on a business proposal. Sophia invited her to a work event. Benjamin needed help shopping for a gift for a woman he was dating. For Christmas, Naomi expected a polite card or maybe a small gift. Instead, Helena texted her in early December, "What are you doing for Christmas? We'd love to have you join us if you don't have other plans." Naomi stared at the text for a long time. She had already received the obligatory message from Patricia, a vague suggestion that maybe Naomi could visit sometime during the holidays, but nothing concrete. The message was clear. Bethany's plans took priority, and Naomi could fit in around them if convenient. "I'd love to spend Christmas with you," Naomi wrote back to Helena. "Thank you for including me." Christmas at the Rodriguez house was everything Naomi had ever imagined a real family celebration should be. The house was decorated with twinkling lights and a tree covered in ornaments that clearly had history and stories. They exchanged thoughtful gifts, nothing expensive but everything chosen with care. Helena gave Naomi a beautiful journal with her initials embossed on the cover. "For all those program ideas you're always jotting down," she said. Naomi had agonized over gifts for the Rodriguez family, wanting to show her appreciation without seeming like she was trying too hard. She had settled on a cookbook for Helena, a book on educational innovation for Benjamin, a scarf in Sophia's favorite color, and a bottle of good scotch for Paul. Their reactions made her feel like she had chosen perfectly. "This is beautiful," Sophia said, wrapping the scarf around her neck. "How did you know this was exactly what I wanted?" "You mentioned it when we had coffee a few weeks ago," Naomi said. Sophia's eyes widened. "You remembered that?" "I barely remember saying it." "Of course I remembered," Naomi said, confused. "Wasn't that what you did? Pay attention to people you cared about?" But from the look on Sophia's face and from Helena's soft smile, Naomi realized that maybe her attention to detail wasn't as common as she thought. Maybe the way she listened and remembered and cared was actually something special. Something her biological family had never valued but this family did. That night, after the gifts were opened and the dinner was eaten and they were all lounging in the living room with full stomachs and tired smiles, Helena patted the couch next to her. Naomi sat down and Helena put an arm around her shoulders. "I'm so glad you were here today," Helena said quietly. "Christmas wouldn't have been the same without you." Naomi leaned into the embrace, feeling tears prick at her eyes for the 100th time since meeting this family. "Thank you for having me. For everything. You've all been so kind to me." "It's not kindness," Helena said. "It's love, Naomi. We love you. You're part of this family now." And sitting there in the warm glow of the Christmas tree lights, surrounded by people who had chosen her, Naomi finally understood what family was supposed to feel like. The new year arrived with bitter cold and snow that blanketed the city in white. Naomi stood at her apartment window on New Year's morning, watching the world transform, and felt something shift inside her. She was different now than she had been just 2 months ago. Lighter somehow. Less weighed down by the constant effort of trying to earn love from people who would never give it. Her phone buzzed. Not Patricia. Not Bethany. "Helena. Happy New Year, mihija. Come over for brunch? Paul is making his famous French toast and we're all in pajamas. Very casual. Mihija. My daughter." Helena had started calling her that a few weeks ago, and each time Naomi heard it, something warm bloomed in her chest. She texted back immediately, "I'll be there in an hour." That afternoon, lounging in the Rodriguez living room with a full stomach and a heart fuller still, Naomi checked her phone and found a message from Patricia. Happy New Year, Naomi. Bethany and Trevor set a wedding date. June 15th. Save the date card coming soon. Hope you can make it. Hope you can make it. As if Naomi might have other plans. As if her attendance at her only sister's wedding was optional. The message carried no warmth, no real invitation. Just a perfunctory notification. Everything okay? Sophia asked, noticing Naomi's expression. My sister set her wedding date, Naomi said. June. That's exciting, Sophia said carefully, watching Naomi's face. Are you too close? Naomi laughed, but there was no humor in it. No. We've never been close. She's the reason I wasn't at my parents' house for Thanksgiving. She hadn't told Sophia that detail before, though she had told Helena. But sitting here in this comfortable living room, surrounded by people who actually cared about her, the truth felt easier to speak. She asked my parents to uninvite me? Sophia's voice rose with indignation. What kind of person does that? Sophia, Helena said gently, a reminder to be kind. Sorry, Sophia said. But that's terrible. What are you going to do? Go to the wedding, I guess, Naomi said. It would cause a huge drama if I didn't. And despite everything, she's still my sister. But is she really? Benjamin asked. He was sprawled on the other couch, supposedly reading a book but clearly listening to every word. I mean, being related doesn't make someone family. Not real family. Naomi didn't have an answer for that. Over the following months, the contrast between her two families became increasingly stark. Patricia would text occasionally, always with news about Bethany. The dress fitting. The venue deposit. The flower arrangements. Never once did she ask Naomi how she was, what she was doing, if she was happy. Meanwhile, the Rodriguez family folded Naomi deeper into their lives. In February, Sophia invited her to be her +1 at a work gala. I know it's last minute, but my original date bailed and I need someone who won't bore me to death during the speeches. They got dressed up together at Sophia's apartment, doing each other's makeup and raiding her closet for the perfect accessories. It felt like having a sister, a real sister, the kind who actually wanted to spend time with you. At the gala, Sophia introduced Naomi to everyone as, my sister Naomi, and Naomi felt a thrill each time she heard it. Not friend. Sister. Sophia claimed her publicly, proudly, without hesitation. In March, Paul asked Naomi to review a proposal he was putting together for a potential client. Helena says you have a good head for this kind of thing, he explained. I'd value your input. Naomi spent hours on the proposal, giving it the same attention she would give her own work. When Paul landed the client, he took Naomi out for a celebratory lunch. I couldn't have done it without you, he said, and meant it. In April, Helena insisted Naomi join them for Easter. I know you said your family does a big Easter lunch, but you're having dinner with us. Non-negotiable. The truth was, Patricia hadn't actually invited Naomi to the Bennett family Easter lunch. She had mentioned it in passing, said they would be gathering, but there had been no explicit invitation. Naomi had been planning to spend the day alone, maybe go for a long walk, definitely not sit at her parents' table where she wasn't wanted. Easter dinner at the Rodriguez house was beautiful. Helena cooked a traditional Colombian meal, teaching Naomi the names of dishes and letting her help in the kitchen. They laughed when Naomi accidentally added too much salt to something. They sang along badly to music playing from Helena's phone. They felt like mother and daughter, cooking together, comfortable in each other's presence. That evening, Naomi posted a photo on social media. Just one picture of the dinner table, beautiful with spring flowers and colorful dishes, captioned simply, grateful for family. She didn't expect Patricia to see it. Her mother rarely checked social media. But the next day her phone rang. Patricia. Hi Mom, Naomi answered. I saw your photo from yesterday, Patricia said, her voice tight. You said you couldn't make it to our lunch. Naomi frowned. You didn't actually invite me. You just mentioned you were having one. Well, it was implied. We always do Easter lunch. You know that. You told me not to come home for Thanksgiving, Naomi said quietly. How was I supposed to know I was welcome for Easter? Patricia sighed, that long-suffering sound she made when she thought Naomi was being difficult. Your sister is very hurt that you're spending all your time with these other people instead of your real family. My real family, Naomi repeated. The family that doesn't want me at Thanksgiving? That family? Don't be dramatic, Naomi. Bethany was stressed. You know how she gets. You could be more understanding. I am understanding, Naomi said. I'm understanding that Bethany doesn't want me around, and I'm respecting that by building a life that doesn't depend on whether or not she approves of me. These Rodriguez people, they're not your family. You barely know them. I know them better than you know me, Naomi said, the truth falling out before she could stop it. Helena knows how I take my coffee. She knows what I'm working on at my job. She knows what matters to me. Can you say any of those things, Mom? The silence on the other end of the phone was long and heavy. That's not fair, Patricia finally said, her voice cold. I'm your mother. Of course I know you. When's my birthday? Naomi asked. What? When's my birthday? Don't think about it. Just tell me. Another pause. Naomi, I'm not playing this game. It's April 17th, Naomi said. It was 3 days ago. You didn't call. You didn't text. Helena threw me a surprise party. The whole family was there. They made my favorite meal. They gave me thoughtful gifts. They celebrated me. Did you even remember? I've been busy helping Bethany with wedding planning, Patricia said defensively. You know how demanding that is. Right? Naomi said. Of course. Bethany needs you. She always needs you. And I've always been expected to understand that. You're being very selfish right now, Patricia said. Your sister is getting married. This is a huge time for our family. The least you could do is be supportive. I am supportive. I said I'd come to the wedding. But I'm not going to apologize for having people in my life who actually care about me. Fine, Patricia said, her voice cold. Spend all your time with strangers. But don't come crying to me when you realize they're not your real family. She hung up before Naomi could respond. Naomi stood in her apartment, phone still pressed to her ear, listening to the dial tone. She should feel guilty. She should feel bad about upsetting her mother. But all she felt was tired. Tired of apologizing for existing. Tired of making herself smaller to accommodate Bethany. Tired of begging for scraps of attention from people who should have loved her unconditionally. Her phone buzzed. Sophia. Hey, Benjamin and I are grabbing dinner at that new Thai place. Want to come? Just like that. No drama. No guilt trips. Just a simple invitation from someone who wanted her company. I'll meet you there in 20 minutes, Naomi texted back. The wedding invitation arrived in May, heavy cardstock in a cream envelope. Formal. Expensive. Very Bethany. Naomi was listed as a bridesmaid, which surprised her. She hadn't expected Bethany to include her in the wedding party at all. When she called to confirm, Bethany answered on the third ring. Oh, hi Naomi. Did you get the invitation? I did. I'm honored to be a bridesmaid. Mom insisted, Bethany said bluntly. She said it would look bad if my only sister wasn't in the wedding. But I need you to understand something. This day is about me and Trevor. I don't want any drama. What drama would I cause? Naomi asked, trying to keep her voice level. Just, don't make everything about you, okay? Don't show up with your new replacement family or whatever. This is the Bennett family's day. Our day. I'm a Bennett too, Naomi said quietly. You know what I mean, Bethany said impatiently. Just wear the dress, smile in the photos, and let me have my day. Can you do that? Naomi thought about arguing. About pointing out that Bethany had never let her have a day, any day, ever. But what was the point? I'll be there, Naomi said. I'll wear the dress and smile in the photos. Good. The fitting is next Saturday. Mom will text you the details. Bethany hung up without saying goodbye. That evening at Sunday dinner, Naomi was quiet. Helena noticed because Helena always noticed. What's on your mind, Mihija? She asked, sitting down next to Naomi on the porch after dinner. Naomi told her about the phone call with Bethany, about being a bridesmaid in a wedding where she wasn't really wanted, about the constant feeling of being tolerated rather than loved by her biological family. Helena listened quietly, holding Naomi's hand. You know you don't have to go, Helena finally said. You don't owe them your presence at events where you're not truly welcome. She's my sister, Naomi said. Is she? Helena asked gently. Has she ever treated you like a sister? Has she ever shown you love or loyalty or kindness? Naomi couldn't answer because the truth was too painful. No. Bethany had never been a real sister to her. You deserve better, Helena said. You deserve a family that celebrates you, that wants you, that loves you for exactly who you are. And you have that family. Right here. With us. Naomi felt tears sliding down her cheeks. I don't want to be a burden to you. You've already been so kind. Stop, Helena said firmly. You're not a burden. You're a gift. Every day we get to spend with you is a gift. Do you understand that? Naomi nodded, not trusting herself to speak. I need to tell you something, Helena said. Paul and I have been talking. The whole family has been talking, actually. And we want to ask you something important. But not yet. After this wedding. After you've had time to process everything with your biological family. We want you to know it's coming though. That we have something we want to discuss with you. What is it? Naomi asked. Helena smiled mysteriously. All in good time. For now, just know that you're loved. Truly deeply loved. Not because of what you do or how perfect you are or how much you sacrifice. Just because you're you. That's enough. You are enough. That night, lying in bed, Naomi thought about Helena's words. She thought about the family that had chosen her, that had pulled her out of her loneliness and shown her what love actually looked like. She thought about June, about standing in a bridesmaid dress at Bethany's wedding, smiling for photos while feeling invisible. And she thought about whatever Helena wanted to discuss after the wedding. Something important. Something they had all talked about as a family. Whatever it was, Naomi had a feeling it was going to change everything. May brought longer days and the kind of spring weather that made the whole city come alive. Trees bloomed in every park. Sidewalk cafes filled with people enjoying the sunshine. Naomi found herself smiling more easily, laughing more freely. The weight she had carried for so many years felt lighter, as if the Rodriguez family's love was slowly healing wounds she hadn't even known were there. She was at her desk at Community Bridges on a Wednesday afternoon when her phone rang. Paul Rodriguez. Hi, Paul, she answered, surprised. They texted occasionally, but phone calls during work hours were unusual. Naomi, I hope I'm not catching you at a bad time. Do you have a few minutes to talk? Of course. What's going on? I had lunch yesterday with a former colleague who now runs the Eastern Regional Office for the National Community Development Initiative. They're looking for a director of urban programs. It's a significant step up from your current role, overseeing multiple cities, larger budget, more impact. And immediately, I thought of you. Naomi's heart started beating faster. That sounds amazing. I thought you might be interested. So I may have talked you up quite a bit and shared some of the work you've done at Community Bridges. She wants to meet with you. Are you interested? Yes. Absolutely yes. Excellent. I'll send you her contact information. Her name is Brenda Chin. Great person, very passionate about this work. I think you two will hit it off. After the call ended, Naomi sat at her desk feeling stunned. This wasn't just a small opportunity. This was a career-defining role. The kind of position she had dreamed about but thought was years away. And Paul had recommended her. Had thought of her. Had used his professional connections to open a door for her. When was the last time Roger had done anything like that for her? Never. Roger barely knew what her job was, much less had the inclination to help her career advance. The interview with Brenda Chin happened 2 weeks later. Naomi prepared obsessively, researching the organization, developing ideas, rehearsing answers to potential questions. The night before the interview, Sophia came over to help her pick out an outfit and practice her presentation. You're going to be amazing, Sophia said, straightening Naomi's blue blazer. They'd be crazy not to hire you. What if I mess it up? You won't. But even if you did, which you won't, you'd still be amazing. One interview doesn't define your worth, Naomi. You know that, right? It was something Helena would say. Actually, Helena had said almost exactly that during their coffee date that morning. The Rodriguez family had spent the past week building up Naomi's confidence, reminding her of her accomplishments, telling her she deserved this opportunity. The interview went better than Naomi could have hoped. She and Brenda connected immediately, their vision for community development aligning perfectly. They talked for 2 hours, far longer than the scheduled 60 minutes. Brenda asked insightful questions. Naomi gave confident answers. By the time she left the office, Naomi felt almost certain she had made a strong impression. She called Helena immediately. How did it go? Helena answered without preamble. I think it went really well. We connected. She seemed genuinely interested in my ideas. Of course she did. Your ideas are excellent. Oh, Naomi, I'm so proud of you. Thank you for everything, Naomi said. For Paul recommending me, for helping me prepare, for believing I could do this. We always believe in you, Helena said simply. That evening, Naomi called her mother. She told herself not to expect much, but some small part of her still hoped Patricia would be excited for her, proud of her, interested in this major career opportunity. That's nice, dear, Patricia said when Naomi finished explaining about the interview. How's the bridesmaid dress fitting? You still need to schedule that. I know, Mom. I will. But did you hear what I said about the job? Yes, some new position. That's good. You always were ambitious. Speaking of which, Bethany just got promoted again. She's now managing the entire accounts division. Only 25 and already so successful. We're incredibly proud. There it was. The familiar pivot. No matter what Naomi accomplished, the conversation always circled back to Bethany's achievements. Naomi could cure a disease and Patricia would somehow find a way to mention Bethany's latest accomplishment in the same breath. I have to go, Mom, Naomi said, suddenly exhausted. I'll call you later about the dress fitting. She hung up and stared at her phone. Then she scrolled to her group text with Sophia and Benjamin. Interview went great. Want to celebrate? Responses came immediately. Sophia, yes. Drinks at Murphy's? Benjamin, I'm there. 7 p.m.? Naomi, perfect. An hour later, she was at Murphy's pub with Sophia and Benjamin, then Helena and Paul showed up as a surprise. They had a table full of appetizers, drinks flowing, everyone toasting Naomi's success. Paul told the story of how he had known within 5 minutes of meeting Naomi that she was special. Helena beamed like a proud mother. Sophia and Benjamin teased her about being too successful for them now. When you're a big shot running programs in 15 cities, are you still going to come to Sunday dinners? Benjamin asked. Always, Naomi said. Nothing could keep me away from Sunday dinners. Good, Helena said, squeezing her hand. Because we need you there. The family isn't complete without you. 2 weeks later, Brenda called with an offer. The salary was significantly higher than Naomi's current position. The benefits were excellent. The opportunity to make a real impact was everything Naomi had been working toward. Naomi accepted immediately. The Rodriguez family threw her a celebration party that weekend. They hung streamers in the dining room, made a banner that said, "Congratulations, Director Bennett," and Sophia had even ordered a custom cake. The house was full of warmth and laughter and genuine pride. Speech? Benjamin called out. Speech. Naomi stood up, feeling self-conscious but happy. I don't really know what to say except thank you. Thank you, Paul, for making the introduction. Thank you all for supporting me through the interview process. Thank you for always believing in me even when I don't believe in myself. I couldn't have done this without you. You did this yourself, Paul said. We just opened a door. You walked through it with your own talent and hard work. But I wouldn't have even known about the door without you, Naomi said. That's what family does, right? Opens doors for each other. Helps each other succeed. Celebrates together. Helena had tears in her eyes. That's exactly what family does. Later that evening, when the party had wound down and most people had left, Naomi helped Helena clean up the kitchen. They worked in comfortable silence, the kind that only came from many hours spent together. You know, Helena said, washing a plate, Paul and I have been thinking. About what? About you. About us. About what family means. Helena paused, choosing her words carefully. I told you a few weeks ago that we wanted to discuss something important with you. I think now might be the right time. Naomi's heart started beating faster. Okay. Helena dried her hands and turned to face Naomi fully. You've become such an integral part of our family over these past months. Not a guest. Not a friend. Family. Paul, Sophia, Benjamin, myself, we all feel it. You belong with us. I feel that too, Naomi said softly. So we want to make it official. Legal. We want to formally adopt you as our daughter. Naomi stared at her, certain she had misheard. What? Adult adoption. It's absolutely legal. We'd go through the court system and you would legally become our daughter. Naomi Rodriguez if you wanted to take our name. Or you could keep Bennett. That's entirely up to you. But either way you'd be our daughter in every way. Legal, emotional, forever. But I'm 28, Naomi said, her voice barely above a whisper. Age doesn't matter. Family is family regardless of when you find it. Helena took both of Naomi's hands in hers. We've all discussed this. Everyone is completely on board. Sophia is so excited about making you her legal sister. Benjamin has already started annoying you the way he annoys Sophia. Paul has been researching the legal process for weeks. We want this, Naomi. We want you. Not as an honorary member. Not as a friend who comes around. As our actual legal, forever daughter. Tears were streaming down Naomi's face. I don't know what to say. Say yes. Say you want this too. Say you'll let us be your family, officially and permanently. Yes, Naomi sobbed. Yes, yes, yes. I want this more than I've ever wanted anything. Helena pulled her into a tight embrace, both of them crying now. Paul walked into the kitchen, saw them, and immediately wrapped both of them in his arms. She said yes, he asked. She said yes, Helena confirmed. Sophia and Benjamin rushed in from the living room, apparently having been listening the whole time. They joined the group hug, everyone talking at once, crying and laughing and celebrating. "You're stuck with us now," Sophia said. "Legal sister. No take-backs." "I wouldn't take it back for anything," Naomi said. That night, lying in her bed, Naomi thought about what had just happened. A family had chosen her. Not because they had to. Not because of blood or obligation. But because they wanted her. They loved her enough to make it legal, to tie themselves to her permanently. She thought about Patricia and Roger, who had never made her feel chosen. Who had never fought for her or celebrated her or loved her unconditionally. She thought about Bethany, who had actively worked to exclude her. And she thought about the Rodriguez family, who had seen her sitting alone in a restaurant and decided she deserved better. Who had spent months proving they meant it. Who were now offering to be her family forever. Naomi picked up her phone and texted Helena, "Thank you for choosing me. I love you, Mom." The response came immediately, "Thank you for letting us. I love you too, Mihija. Sleep well, our beautiful daughter. Our daughter." Naomi fell asleep with those words echoing in her mind, a smile on her face, finally knowing what it felt like to truly belong. The legal process of adult adoption turned out to be more involved than Naomi had expected. There were forms to fill out, background checks to complete, court dates to schedule. Paul handled most of the logistics, working with a family lawyer who specialized in adult adoptions. Every time Naomi offered to help with the costs, Paul waved her away. "This is our choice," he said firmly. "Our gift to you. You're not paying for your own adoption." The bridesmaid dress fitting happened on a Saturday in early June, just 2 weeks before Bethany's wedding and in the middle of the adoption proceedings. Naomi drove to her hometown for the first time since Thanksgiving, her stomach tight with anxiety. She had been avoiding this trip, avoiding her biological family, cocooned in the warmth of the Rodriguez family. The bridal boutique was expensive and exclusive, very Bethany. When Naomi walked in, Patricia and Bethany were already there, along with Bethany's maid of honor and 2 other bridesmaids. Everyone looked up when she entered, but only Patricia gave her a tight smile. "Naomi, you're late," Bethany said. Naomi checked her phone. She was 3 minutes past the scheduled time, delayed by traffic. "Sorry? Traffic was bad. Well, you're here now. This is the dress we selected. I hope it fits because alterations are expensive and we're on a tight timeline." The dress was pale pink, floor-length, with an empire waist and delicate beading. It was actually quite beautiful, though not a color Naomi would have chosen for herself. She took the dress to the fitting room and changed, then stepped out onto the platform. "Turn around," Bethany instructed, studying her critically. "Is pulling a bit in the shoulders. You'll need to get that fixed." "The dress fits fine," the boutique attendant said kindly. "But we can let it out just a touch if you'd be more comfortable." "Do it," Bethany said. "I want everything perfect." Patricia sat on a small sofa, watching the fitting with a pinched expression. "Naomi, you look thin. Are you eating?" "I eat fine, Mom." "She looks great," one of the other bridesmaids said. "That color is gorgeous on her." Bethany shot the woman a look and she fell silent. Apparently complimenting Naomi was not part of the plan. "So," Patricia said, her tone artificially casual, "are you still spending all your time with those Rodriguez people?" "They're my family," Naomi said quietly. "And yes, I spend a lot of time with them." "Your family is right here," Bethany said sharply. "We're your actual family. Blood family. Those people are just, friends you have dinner with sometimes." Naomi met her sister's eyes in the mirror. "They're adopting me. Legally. I'm going to be Naomi Rodriguez." The silence in the boutique was deafening. Patricia's face went pale. Bethany's mouth fell open. "You're what?" Patricia finally said. "Adult adoption. We filed the paperwork last week. The hearing is in August. They want me to be their daughter legally and officially. And I want that too." "That's insane," Bethany said. "You can't just get adopted by random strangers because they're nice to you. They're not strangers. Not anymore. They've been more family to me in 6 months than any of you have been in 28 years. "How dare you," Patricia said, standing up. "We're your mother and sister. We've raised you, fed you, given you everything. You've given me a lifetime of feeling like I'm not enough," Naomi said. The other women in the boutique were trying to look away, embarrassed by the family drama unfolding in front of them. But Naomi didn't care anymore. "You told me not to come home for Thanksgiving because Bethany didn't want me there. You forgot my birthday. You've never once asked about my job, my life, what matters to me. Helena knows more about me than you do, Mom. She actually listens when I talk. This is pathetic, Bethany spat. You're so desperate for attention that you're letting these people manipulate you. They're not manipulating me. They're loving me. There's a difference, though I understand why you wouldn't recognize that. Get out, Bethany said, her face flushed red. Get out of my fitting. Out of my wedding. I don't want you there if you're going to disrespect our family like this. Our family? Naomi laughed, and there was an edge of hysteria in it. We've never been a family, Bethany. Not really. You and Mom and Dad are a family. I've just been the person you tolerate when you have to. Naomi, that's not true, Patricia said, but her voice was weak, unconvincing even to herself. It is true. And I'm done pretending it's not. Naomi stepped off the platform and walked back into the fitting room. She changed out of the bridesmaid dress with shaking hands, hung it carefully back on its hanger, and walked out of the boutique without another word. She made it to her car before the tears started. She sat in the parking lot, crying so hard she could barely breathe, her whole body shaking with the force of her sobs. She had finally said the truth out loud. She had finally stopped protecting her biological family from the consequences of their choices. And it hurt. Even though she had the Rodriguez family, even though she was happy and loved and building a beautiful life, it still hurt to acknowledge that Patricia and Roger and Bethany had never really loved her. That she had spent her entire childhood and young adulthood hoping for something that was never going to come. Her phone rang. Helena. Hi, Naomi managed, her voice thick with tears. Where are you? Helena asked, her voice full of concern. In a parking lot in my hometown. The dress fitting went badly. Stay there. Send me your location. I'm coming to get you. You don't have to. I'm your mother. You're upset. I'm coming. Send me your location right now. Naomi did as she was told, and 90 minutes later, Helena's car pulled into the parking lot. She had driven 2 hours to get here, hadn't even questioned whether she should. She simply came. Helena got into Naomi's passenger seat and immediately pulled her into a hug. Naomi collapsed into her arms, crying again, all the pain and rejection pouring out. Tell me what happened, Helena said quietly. Naomi told her everything. The awkward fitting, the confrontation, Bethany kicking her out of the wedding. Helena listened without interrupting, her hand stroking Naomi's hair in a gesture so maternal it made Naomi's heart ache. I'm proud of you, Helena finally said. Naomi pulled back, confused. For what? For ruining my sister's wedding? For speaking your truth? For standing up for yourself? For refusing to accept treatment you don't deserve? Helena cupped Naomi's face in her hands. You did nothing wrong. You have every right to be upset by how they've treated you. And you have every right to choose a family that actually loves you. She told me I can't come to the wedding. Then don't go. Come to dinner at our house that night instead. We'll cook your favorite meal, watch movies, celebrate how brave you are. But she's my sister. She's never acted like your sister. Blood doesn't make family, Mihija. Love does. Loyalty does. Showing up for each other does. The Rodriguez family will always show up for you. Every single time. They sat in the car for another hour, talking and crying and healing. Helena told Naomi about her own complicated relationship with her family in Colombia, about the pain of being misunderstood and undervalued. She talked about how she had built her own family in America, choosing Paul and then raising Sophia and Benjamin to understand that love was a choice you made every day. You don't owe your biological family anything, Helena said. Not your presence. Not your forgiveness. Not your pain. You get to choose who deserves access to your life. And based on how they treat you, they haven't earned that access. Finally, Helena followed Naomi back to the city in her own car, staying close behind her the whole way. When they arrived at Naomi's apartment, Helena came inside and made her tea. She didn't leave until Naomi was calm, fed, and settled on the couch with a blanket and a promise to call if she needed anything. I love you, Helena said at the door. You are my daughter in every way that matters. And soon you'll be my daughter legally too. Nothing your biological family says or does can change that. Over the next week, Patricia called several times. Naomi let it go to voicemail. The messages started apologetic, then turned demanding, then angry. Bethany sent texts that ranged from cruel to manipulative. Roger, as usual, said nothing. The Rodriguez family circled around Naomi like protective wolves. Sophia came over with wine and takeout. Benjamin showed up with a movie and ice cream. Paul sent encouraging texts. And Helena called every single day, sometimes twice a day, just to check in. How are you feeling today? She would ask. And Naomi would answer honestly, because that was what you did with people who actually cared. The wedding was on June 15th. Naomi woke up that morning in her apartment, alone, and felt peaceful. She had thought this day would be hard, thought she would be filled with regret and guilt. But instead she felt free. She got a text from Sophia. "Dinner at our house tonight. 6 p.m. Wear something comfortable. We're having a family movie night." Naomi smiled and typed back, "I'll be there." She spent the day doing things she loved. She went for a long run in the park. She read a book at a coffee shop. She called her friend from Community Bridges and talked about the upcoming transition to her new job. At 6 o'clock, she showed up at the Rodriguez house in jeans and a green t-shirt. The moment she walked in, she was enveloped in hugs. Sophia, Benjamin, Paul, Helena, everyone greeting her like she was precious, like they had been waiting for her all day. They made homemade pizza together, arguing playfully about toppings. They watched an old comedy movie, all of them squished together on the couches, sharing blankets and popcorn. They laughed until their stomachs hurt. They were silly and comfortable and completely themselves. At some point during the evening, Helena's arm around her shoulders, Benjamin's commentary making everyone laugh, Sophia painting Naomi's nails a bright red, Paul telling bad jokes from the kitchen. Naomi realized something profound. She didn't miss the wedding. She didn't miss Bethany or Patricia or Roger or any of it. Because she was exactly where she belonged. "Thank you," she said suddenly, and everyone looked at her. "Thank you for being my real family. Thank you for choosing me." "Always," Helena said simply. "We will always choose you." And Naomi believed her. Finally, completely believed that she was loved. August arrived with sweltering heat and the court date for the adoption. Naomi had started her new position at the National Community Development Initiative in July, and the transition had been both exciting and overwhelming. She was managing programs across 5 cities now, working with teams she had never met, making decisions that affected thousands of people. It was exactly the challenge she had been craving. The Rodriguez family had been her constant support through the career change. Helena helped her prep for her first presentation to the board. Paul gave her advice on managing difficult stakeholders. Sophia coached her through office politics. Benjamin sent her funny texts during stressful days just to make her smile. The adoption hearing was scheduled for August 12th, a Thursday morning. Naomi took the day off work, too nervous and excited to focus on anything else. She met the Rodriguez family at the courthouse, all of them dressed up for the occasion. Sophia had bought Naomi a new dress for the hearing, a beautiful blue dress that made her feel confident and pretty. "You look gorgeous," Sophia said, straightening Naomi's collar. "Like someone who's about to officially become my sister." The hearing itself was surprisingly brief. The judge reviewed the paperwork, asked a few questions about their relationship and intentions, and seemed genuinely moved by their story. Paul explained how they had met Naomi, how she had become essential to their family, how they wanted to formalize a relationship that already existed in their hearts. The judge asked Naomi if she understood what she was agreeing to, if she wanted this adoption. "More than anything," Naomi said, her voice clear and certain. "The Rodriguez family has shown me what real family looks like. They've loved me, supported me, chosen me. I want to be their daughter legally, officially, forever." "Well," the judge said, smiling, "I don't see any reason why that shouldn't happen. The adoption is approved. Congratulations to all of you." Just like that, Naomi Rodriguez was born. Not Bennett anymore. Rodriguez. She had chosen to take their name completely, wanting to fully embrace this new identity, this new beginning. They celebrated with lunch at an expensive restaurant, then Helena surprised them all with a cake she had hidden in her car. It said, "Welcome to the family, Naomi Rodriguez," in blue frosting. Everyone cried, including Paul, who usually maintained his composure. "You're officially stuck with us now," Benjamin said, putting his arm around Naomi's shoulders. "No escape." "I don't want to escape," Naomi said. "This is exactly where I want to be." That evening, alone in her apartment, Naomi updated all her documents. Driver's license, social security card, work identification, bank accounts. Each time she wrote or typed, Naomi Rodriguez, she felt a flutter of joy. This was her name now. This was her family. She had been reborn into love and chosenness. She thought about calling Patricia to tell her about the adoption, then decided against it. They hadn't spoken since the disaster at the bridal boutique. Patricia had left a few more voicemails, but eventually they stopped. The wedding had happened without Naomi, and according to a brief text from Roger, it had been beautiful. He didn't ask why Naomi hadn't attended. He didn't ask if she was okay. He simply informed her of the fact as if she was a distant relative they were keeping minimally updated. That was fine. Naomi had spent too many years chasing approval from people who would never give it. She was done. She had a mother who loved her now. She had a father who was proud of her. She had siblings who actually wanted her around. She didn't need Patricia and Roger and Bethany anymore. Life fell into a comfortable rhythm over the following months. Work was demanding but fulfilling. Naomi was good at her job, and her colleagues respected her ideas. She traveled regularly to the different cities under her oversight, developing programs and building partnerships. Sunday dinners at the Rodriguez house remained sacred. No matter how busy her work schedule got, Naomi made sure to be there every Sunday. It was the anchor of her week, the thing that kept her grounded. Helena always cooked something delicious. Paul told stories. Sophia shared office gossip. Benjamin complained about his principal's latest ridiculous policy. They laughed and argued and cleaned up together. They were family in the truest sense. In October, Sophia invited Naomi to a gallery opening. Sophia's company was sponsoring the event, and she needed a plus one. "It'll be boring corporate stuff," Sophia warned. "But there will be good wine and interesting art, and I promise to make fun of pretentious people with you." The gallery was in a converted warehouse downtown, all exposed brick and dramatic lighting. The art was contemporary, some pieces beautiful and some utterly baffling. Sophia and Naomi wandered through with glasses of wine, quietly judging and admiring in equal measure. "That piece looks like someone dropped paint on a canvas from a ladder," Sophia whispered, gesturing to an abstract work. "It's probably worth $50,000, Naomi whispered back. They were giggling over another particularly confusing sculpture when a man approached them. "Excuse me, I couldn't help but notice you two seem to be the only people actually enjoying themselves instead of pretending to understand contemporary art." He was tall, probably early 30s, with dark hair and kind eyes. He wore a well-fitted charcoal suit but had loosened his tie, giving him a relaxed air. "We're very sophisticated appreciators of art," Sophia said, her tone mock serious. "We just appreciate it through the lens of complete confusion." The man laughed. "I'm Camden Wright. I'm the architect who designed this space, so I have to be here even though I understand art even less than you do." "You designed this?" Naomi asked, looking around with new appreciation. "It's gorgeous. The way you preserved the industrial elements but made it feel warm and inviting. It's really impressive." Camden's smile widened. "Thank you. It was a challenge, but I'm proud of how it turned out." "And you are?" "I'm Sophia, and this is my sister Naomi." They talked for 20 minutes, the conversation flowing easily. Camden was charming without being slick, intelligent without being pretentious. He had opinions about architecture and design but also admitted to loving terrible action movies and spending too much money on coffee. He asked thoughtful questions and actually listened to the answers. When Sophia got pulled away by a colleague, Camden turned his full attention to Naomi. "So what do you do, Naomi?" he asked. She told him about her work with the National Community Development Initiative, and his interest seemed genuine. He asked about specific programs, challenged some of her assumptions in a respectful way, shared his own thoughts on urban development. "I've always thought architects and community development professionals should work together more," he said. "We're both trying to create spaces where people can thrive, just from different angles." "Exactly," Naomi said, excited to meet someone who understood that connection. "Buildings aren't just structures. They're community assets. They either support or hinder the life that happens inside them." They talked until the gallery started clearing out, and Naomi was surprised to realize 2 hours had passed. Sophia reappeared with a knowing smile. "Ready to go?" she asked. Camden cleared his throat. "Before you leave, could I get your number, Naomi? I'd love to continue this conversation over coffee sometime. If you're interested." "I'm interested," Naomi said, trying not to smile too widely. They exchanged numbers and Camden sent her a text right there so she would have his. "Just so you know, I'm not a creep who asks for numbers and then disappears," he said with a grin. In the car on the way home, Sophia was practically bouncing in her seat. "He was so into you," she said. "Like heart eyes into you." "He was nice," Naomi said, trying to play it cool. "Nice?" "Naomi, he talked to you for 2 hours at a boring work event. He gave you his number immediately. He's definitely going to call." "Maybe. Definitely. And you like him too." "I could tell." Naomi did like him. There had been something easy about their conversation, something comfortable. No games, no pretense. Just two people connecting over shared interests and values. Camden texted her the next day, "Any chance you're free for coffee this weekend? I promise to only talk about architecture for 50% of the time." They met at a cafe near Naomi's apartment. Coffee turned into lunch. Lunch turned into a walk through the park. The walk turned into dinner. By the time they finally said goodbye that evening, Naomi's cheeks hurt from smiling. "I had a really great time," Camden said. "Can I see you again?" "I'd like that," Naomi said. They started dating slowly, carefully. Camden was respectful of Naomi's time and independence. He didn't push for more than she was ready to give. He asked about her work and actually remembered details from previous conversations. He made her laugh. He was steady and kind and genuine. When Naomi introduced him to the Rodriguez family at Sunday dinner a month later, she was nervous. This family meant everything to her. Their opinion mattered. She needn't have worried. Camden fit right in. He helped Paul with something in the kitchen. He debated architecture trends with Sophia. He bonded with Benjamin over their shared love of hiking. And Helena watched him with Naomi, seeing how gentle he was with her, how he listened when she talked, how he made her feel valued. After dinner, Helena pulled Naomi aside. "I like him," she said simply. "He's good to you. That's all I need to know." "You really like him?" "I really like him. But more importantly, I like who you are with him. Confident. Happy. Yourself. That's how you should always feel with someone." Dating Camden showed Naomi what a healthy relationship looked like. He never made her feel small. He never competed with her or needed to be the center of attention. He celebrated her successes without feeling threatened. When she had a bad day at work, he listened without trying to fix everything. When she was stressed, he offered support without taking over. It was so different from watching Patricia and Roger's relationship, where Roger quietly enabled Patricia's favoritism and Patricia controlled every family dynamic. It was different from Bethany's relationship with her fiancé Trevor, which seemed based more on appearance and status than genuine connection. This felt real. This felt healthy. This felt like love. By December, they had been dating for 2 months and Naomi was happier than she could remember being. The Rodriguez family had fully embraced Camden. He came to Sunday dinners regularly. He joined their Christmas preparations. He fit seamlessly into the family dynamic. On Christmas Eve at the Rodriguez house with everyone gathered around the tree, Camden squeezed Naomi's hand. "I need to tell you something," he said quietly, pulling her into the kitchen for a moment of privacy. "What's wrong?" Naomi asked, suddenly nervous. "Nothing's wrong. Everything is so right it's almost scary. I need you to know that I'm falling in love with you, Naomi. Actually, I think I'm already there. I love you." Naomi's eyes filled with tears. "I love you too." He pulled her into a kiss and through the doorway they could hear the family cheering in the living room. Apparently privacy in the Rodriguez house was an illusion. "Told you he was into you?" Sophia called out. Everyone laughed and Naomi and Camden walked back into the living room hand in hand. Helena was crying happy tears. Paul was grinning. Sophia and Benjamin were high-fiving like they had just won a bet. "Welcome to the chaos," Helena said to Camden. "If you're going to be part of this family, you might as well get used to everyone being in everyone's business." "I'm counting on it," Camden said, smiling. That night, lying in bed in her apartment, Naomi thought about the past year. She had lost her biological family's approval, but she had gained so much more. A real family who loved her. A career she was proud of. A relationship that felt healthy and true. A name that represented choice and belonging. She was Naomi Rodriguez now. And Naomi Rodriguez was loved, valued, and happy. Spring arrived again, marking more than a year since Naomi had met the Rodriguez family. It felt like a lifetime ago, that Thanksgiving when she had sat alone in a restaurant, heartbroken and convinced she would always be the unwanted daughter. Now she had a family who loved her, a career that fulfilled her, and a man who treated her like she was precious. Camden had become a fixture in her life and in the Rodriguez family. He had his own key to Naomi's apartment. Half his clothes lived in her closet. They had fallen into an easy domestic rhythm, cooking together, working side by side at the dining table, planning their weekends around each other's schedules. In April, Naomi received an unexpected text from Patricia. It had been 8 months since they had spoken, since the disaster at the bridal boutique and Bethany's wedding. "Naomi, I think we should talk. Can you call me?" Naomi stared at the message for a long time. Part of her wanted to ignore it, to maintain the peaceful distance she had established. But another part of her, the part that still remembered being a little girl desperate for her mother's approval, couldn't quite let it go without at least hearing what Patricia had to say. She called on her lunch break, stepping outside her office into the spring sunshine. "Hi, Mom," she said when Patricia answered. "Naomi, thank you for calling. I wasn't sure you would. What did you want to talk about?" Patricia sighed. "I've been thinking a lot about what happened. About what you said at the dress fitting. And I think maybe I need to apologize. Naomi waited, not making this easy for her. Bethany and Trevor's marriage is struggling, Patricia continued. She's been very stressed. And she mentioned recently that she wishes you had been at the wedding. That the pictures don't feel complete without you. Of course. Of course this wasn't about Patricia recognizing how she had failed Naomi. It was about Bethany wanting something and Patricia trying to fix it for her favorite daughter. I'm sorry their marriage is struggling, Naomi said carefully. But I'm not sure what that has to do with me. Well, I was thinking maybe you could reach out to her. Maybe try to repair your relationship. She's been through a lot and she could use her sister right now. Where was she when I needed my sister? Naomi asked quietly. Where were any of you when I needed my family? That's not fair, Naomi. We've always been here for you. No, you haven't. You told me not to come home for Thanksgiving because Bethany didn't want drama. You forgot my birthday. You've never once asked about my job or my life or what makes me happy. You call me once every 8 months because Bethany needs something. That's not being there for me, Mom. That's tolerating me when convenient. You're being very harsh, Patricia said, her voice going cold. I'm trying to extend an olive branch here. Are you? Or are you trying to get me to do emotional labor for Bethany again? Your sister needs you. My sister has never needed me. She needed me gone and I'm gone. I have a new family now. People who actually love me and show up for me and value me. I'm happy, Mom. Genuinely happy. And that has nothing to do with you or Bethany or any of the Bennetts. Those people aren't your real family, Patricia said, falling back on the same argument. We're your real family. Actually, they are my real family. Legally. I was adopted by Helena and Paul Rodriguez last August. My legal name is Naomi Rodriguez now. The Bennett family is my past. The Rodriguez family is my present and my future. The silence on the other end was long. You were adopted? Patricia finally said, her voice small. Yes. And it was the best decision I ever made. I have parents who are proud of me. I have siblings who actually want me around. I have a family that celebrates me instead of tolerating me. That's what I deserved all along, and I'm not giving it up to go back to being your scapegoat daughter. I don't know what to say, Patricia whispered. There's nothing to say. I hope Bethany figures out her marriage. I hope you're all happy. But I'm not coming back. I'm not going to be the person you call when Bethany needs emotional support but ignore the rest of the time. I deserve better than that. Naomi. I need to go, Mom. Take care of yourself. Naomi hung up and stood in the sunshine, her hands shaking. But she didn't feel guilty. She felt lighter. She had spoken her truth one more time, set her boundaries clearly. Whatever Patricia chose to do with that information was up to her. That evening, Naomi told Camden about the phone call. They were cooking dinner together in her apartment, moving around each other with practiced ease. How do you feel about it? Camden asked, chopping vegetables while Naomi stirred sauce. Relieved, Naomi said honestly. I think part of me was always waiting for my biological family to finally understand, to finally apologize and mean it. But I don't think that's going to happen. And I'm okay with that now. I have everything I need. Camden set down his knife and pulled her into a hug. You're amazing, you know that? Your strength, your ability to set boundaries, your capacity to build a beautiful life despite everything. I'm in awe of you. I had good teachers, Naomi said, thinking of Helena and Paul and the way they had modeled healthy family dynamics for her. 2 weeks later, on a Sunday evening in late April, the entire Rodriguez family gathered for their usual dinner. It was a beautiful spring evening, warm enough to eat on the back patio. Helena had made her famous paella, and the table was covered with colorful dishes and fresh flowers from Paul's garden. They were halfway through dinner when Camden suddenly stood up, his chair scraping against the patio stones. Everyone looked at him, confused. Sorry, I need to do something before I lose my nerve, he said. He walked around the table to Naomi and dropped to one knee. Naomi's heart stopped. Sophia gasped. Helena pressed her hand to her mouth. Naomi Rodriguez, Camden said, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. I've been planning to do this somewhere romantic and private, but then I realized that wouldn't be true to who we are. You and this family, you're a package deal. They're part of your story, part of what makes you who you are. So I want to do this here with the people you love most watching. Tears were already streaming down Naomi's face. You're the kindest, strongest, most incredible woman I've ever met. You've shown me what it means to choose your family, to build a life based on love and authenticity. I want to spend the rest of my life making you as happy as you make me. Will you marry me? He opened the box to reveal a simple, elegant ring. Not flashy or ostentatious. Just perfect. Yes, Naomi sobbed. Yes, yes, yes. Camden slipped the ring on her finger and stood, pulling her into a kiss while the Rodriguez family erupted in cheers. Helena was crying. Paul was grinning. Sophia and Benjamin were hugging each other and jumping up and down like children. When Camden and Naomi finally broke apart, everyone swarmed them with hugs and congratulations. Helena held Naomi's face in her hands, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Mihija," she whispered. "I'm so happy for you. So proud of you. You deserve all of this happiness." The rest of the evening was a celebration. Paul brought out champagne he had been saving for a special occasion. They toasted to the engagement, to love, to family. Sophia immediately started planning, pulling out her phone to show Naomi pictures of wedding dresses and venues. Benjamin teased Camden about being officially stuck with the family now. "You're sure about this?" Benjamin asked, grinning. "Sunday dinners forever. Family holidays. Mom texting you every day. There's no escape." "I'm counting on it," Camden said, his arm around Naomi's shoulders. "I'm not just marrying Naomi. I'm marrying into this whole beautiful, chaotic, perfect family. And I couldn't be happier about it." Later that night, after the celebration had wound down and Camden had driven Naomi back to her apartment, they sat on her couch just staring at the ring on her finger. "I can't believe this is real," Naomi said softly. "Believe it? You're stuck with me now." "Good. That's exactly where I want to be. Stuck with you, stuck with my family, stuck in this beautiful life we're building." Camden kissed her forehead. "Have you thought about whether you want to invite your biological family to the wedding?" Naomi had been thinking about exactly that. "I'll send them an announcement," she said slowly. "An invitation to attend as guests if they choose. But they won't have any special roles. Helena will walk me down the aisle. Paul will give a father of the bride speech. Sophia will be my maid of honor. The Rodriguez family will fill all the family roles. Patricia and Roger and Bethany can come if they want, but they'll just be guests. Regular guests." "You're sure?" Camden asked. "I'm sure. They've never been there for the important moments in my life. I'm not going to give them a place of honor at my wedding just because of biology. The people who love me, who chose me, who've been there for me, those are the people who deserve to be part of this day." "I love you," Camden said. "And I love how strong you are, how clear you are about what you need and deserve." "I learned from the best," Naomi said, thinking again of Helena's wisdom, Paul's steady support, Sophia and Benjamin's easy acceptance. The next day, Naomi sent a simple email to Patricia, Roger, and Bethany. "Dear Bennett family, I wanted to let you know that Camden Wright and I are engaged. The wedding will be in September. Details to follow. You're welcome to attend as guests if you wish. Best, Naomi Rodriguez." Short. Factual. No emotion. No apology. No invitation for drama. Patricia called within an hour. Naomi let it go to voicemail. The message was long and emotional, Patricia going between congratulations and hurt feelings about being notified by email, wondering why she wasn't involved in the planning, assuming she would have a prominent role in the wedding. Naomi deleted the message without responding. This wedding was hers and Camden's. It was a celebration of the family she had chosen and the life she had built. The Bennett family could come or not come. Either way, Naomi was going to have the most beautiful, love-filled wedding day of her life. Planning the wedding consumed the next few months in the best possible way. Naomi and Camden chose a beautiful garden venue for September, when the weather would be perfect and the flowers still in bloom. They kept the guest list relatively small, just close friends and family. Quality over quantity. Helena was in heaven helping with the plans. She went to every venue tour, every tasting, every dress appointment. Paul handled the logistics with his usual efficiency. Sophia created a wedding website and managed the digital details. Benjamin offered to officiate, having gotten ordained online specifically for the occasion. "Are you sure you want your brother to marry you?" he had asked Camden. "I might make inappropriate jokes." "That's exactly why I want you to do it," Camden had responded. Naomi found her dress at the third boutique they visited. It was elegant and simple, nothing like the fussy gown Bethany had worn in her wedding photos. This dress felt like Naomi. Flowing fabric in cream, delicate lace at the shoulders, comfortable enough to dance in. When she stepped out of the fitting room wearing it, Helena burst into tears. "You look so beautiful," Helena said, her voice choked with emotion. "My daughter getting married. I'm so happy for you. My daughter." Those words never got old. Every time Helena said them, Naomi felt the same rush of warmth and belonging. They were in the middle of addressing invitations one Sunday afternoon. The whole family gathered around Helena and Paul's dining table, when Naomi's phone rang. Patricia. Again. Naomi had been avoiding her mother's calls for weeks, ever since sending the initial engagement announcement. Patricia had left numerous voicemails, each one more insistent than the last. Roger had sent a few stiff emails. Even Bethany had texted, though her messages were characteristically self-centered, talking about her own wedding and marriage troubles rather than congratulating Naomi. Are you going to answer that? Sophia asked, watching Naomi stare at her buzzing phone. No, Naomi said, silencing the call. But 5 minutes later, her phone buzzed with a text from Roger, her father. That was unusual enough to catch her attention. Naomi, please call your mother. She's very upset and wants to talk to you about the wedding. It would mean a lot if you would just speak with her. Dad. Naomi showed the text to Helena, who was sitting next to her. What do you want to do? Helena asked. I guess I should call her back, Naomi said reluctantly. Otherwise this is just going to keep escalating. She stepped out onto the back porch for privacy and dialed Patricia's number. Her mother answered on the first ring. Naomi, finally. I've been trying to reach you for weeks. I've been busy with wedding planning, Naomi said, keeping her voice neutral. Yes, about that. I've been thinking and I really feel like we need to talk about this wedding. I'm your mother. I should be involved in the planning. I should have a say in the decisions. The wedding is already planned, Mom. We've booked everything. Without even consulting me? Naomi, that's hurtful. I'm your mother. Don't I deserve to be part of this? I have a mother who's been part of every single decision, Naomi said. Helena has been with me for every venue tour, every dress fitting, every planning session. She's the mother who's actually been there for me. I've tried to be there for you, Patricia said, her voice rising. But you've shut me out. You've replaced us with this Rodriguez family and now you're punishing us. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm just living my life with people who actually love me and treat me well. We love you, Patricia said, but even she didn't sound convinced. Do you? Naomi asked. Because loving someone means showing up for them. It means remembering their birthday. It means asking about their life. It means not telling them to stay away from Thanksgiving because your other daughter doesn't want them there. You've never done any of those things for me. Patricia was quiet for a moment. Things haven't been great with Bethany and Trevor, she finally said. Bethany has been struggling. She's mentioned several times that she wishes things were different with you too. That maybe if you had been at the wedding, if you were still close, she'd have more support. There it was. The real reason for all these calls. Not because Patricia genuinely wanted to be part of Naomi's wedding, but because Bethany was struggling and Patricia thought Naomi could fix it. I'm sorry Bethany is having a hard time, Naomi said carefully. But I'm not responsible for her happiness or her marriage. And I'm not going to put myself back into a dynamic where I'm always the one who has to sacrifice and accommodate. She's your sister, Patricia said as if that settled everything. She's never acted like my sister. Look, Mom, I sent you an invitation to the wedding. You, Dad, and Bethany are welcome to come as guests if you choose to. But you won't have special roles. You won't be walking me down the aisle or giving speeches or being included in the wedding party. Those honors go to the people who have actually been there for me. You're letting that woman walk you down the aisle? Patricia's voice was sharp with hurt and anger. Some stranger instead of your own father? Helena isn't a stranger. She's been more of a mother to me in 18 months than you've been in 28 years. And yes, she's walking me down the aisle. Because she's earned that honor. Your father will be devastated. Roger has never fought for me, never stood up for me, never once put me first. He's had my whole life to be a real father and he chose not to. It's too late now. Patricia made a sound somewhere between a sob and a gasp. I don't understand how you can be so cruel. We're your family. No, you're people I'm related to. There's a difference. Family is the people who show up for you. Family is the people who celebrate your successes without jealousy. Family is the people who love you unconditionally. The Rodriguez family is my family. You're welcome to attend the wedding and watch me marry the man I love, surrounded by people who actually care about me. Or you can choose not to come. Either way, I'm going to have a beautiful day. If that's how you feel, Patricia said, her voice icy now, then maybe we won't come at all. Maybe you'll regret this someday when you realize what you've thrown away. I haven't thrown anything away, Naomi said quietly. You did. Years ago. I'm just finally accepting it. She ended the call and stood on the porch for a long moment, her hands shaking. But she didn't feel guilty. She felt strong. She had set her boundaries clearly. She had chosen herself and her happiness. Whatever Patricia decided to do with that information was Patricia's choice, not Naomi's responsibility. When she went back inside, everyone looked up with concern. "You okay?" Camden asked immediately. "I'm good," Naomi said. "Really good, actually." She told them about the conversation, about Patricia's assumption that she should have a prominent role in the wedding, about the manipulation around Bethany's struggling marriage. "She really tried to guilt-trip you through your sister?" Sophia said, indignant. "That's low." "It's classic Patricia," Naomi said. "Everything always comes back to what Bethany needs." "What do you want to do?" Paul asked. "Do you still want to send them an invitation?" "Yes," Naomi said. "I'll send the formal invitation when we send everyone else's. They can make their own choice about whether to attend. But I'm not going to let their drama steal my joy. This wedding is going to be perfect with or without them." Helena stood and pulled Naomi into a hug. "That's my girl. Strong and clear and refusing to accept less than you deserve." Over the next few weeks, Naomi threw herself into the final wedding preparations. The invitations went out, including one to Roger, Patricia, and Bethany. It was a beautiful invitation, cream cardstock with elegant green lettering. "Mr. and Mrs. Paul Rodriguez request the honor of your presence at the marriage of their daughter Naomi Rodriguez to Camden Wright." Their daughter. It was right there in black and white. Naomi Rodriguez, daughter of Paul and Helena Rodriguez. The Bennett family wasn't mentioned anywhere on the invitation. Naomi heard nothing from her biological family for 2 weeks after the invitations went out. Then one evening in late July she received an email from Roger. "Dear Naomi, your mother and I have discussed it, and we will be attending your wedding. Bethany would also like to come. We want to support you, even if we don't understand or agree with all your choices. We hope this can be a fresh start for our family. Love, Dad." Naomi read the email 3 times, looking for sincerity and finding only obligation. They were coming, but not because they were happy for her. They were coming because not coming would look bad. They were coming with judgment and disapproval, hoping to somehow reclaim their position in her life. She showed the email to Camden. "How do you feel about this?" he asked. "Honestly? Nothing. I don't feel happy they're coming. I don't feel upset they're coming. They're just going to be guests at our wedding like anyone else. They don't get to have power over my emotions anymore." "That's growth," Camden said, kissing her forehead. The weeks flew by. Dress fittings, rehearsal, dinner planning, finalizing the ceremony details. Benjamin worked on his officiant remarks, promising they would be heartfelt but also funny. Sophia found the perfect dress for her maid of honor role, a flowing burgundy gown. Helena and Paul handled logistics with practiced efficiency. And through it all, Naomi felt nothing but happiness. No anxiety about her biological family attending. No guilt about excluding them from special roles. No fear that they would somehow ruin her day. She had grown past all of that. 1 week before the wedding, at the final Sunday dinner before everything got chaotic, Helena raised her glass. "I want to make a toast," she said. "To Naomi, my beautiful daughter. I watched you walk into that restaurant 2 years ago, sitting alone at a table, trying so hard to be okay with being by yourself. And I saw something in you. Strength, grace, a deep kindness. I knew immediately that you were special. That you deserved to be celebrated, not tolerated." Helena's voice cracked with emotion. "Over these past 2 years I've watched you bloom. I've watched you realize your own worth. I've watched you build a beautiful career and find genuine love. I've watched you become the woman you were always meant to be. And I am so incredibly proud to be your mother. So proud to walk you down that aisle next week. So grateful that you chose us to be your family." Everyone was crying now, including Naomi. She stood and hugged Helena tightly. "Thank you for seeing me," Naomi whispered. "Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for showing me what real family looks like. Always Mihija. Always." That night, lying in bed next to Camden, Naomi thought about the journey she had taken. From the unwanted daughter to the beloved daughter. From the scapegoat to the celebrated. From lonely and lost to surrounded by love. The Bennett family could come to the wedding or not. They could approve or disapprove. It didn't matter anymore. Because Naomi Rodriguez had everything she needed. She had love, family, purpose, and happiness. And that was more than enough. September 23rd arrived with perfect weather. Clear blue skies, a gentle breeze, temperatures in the mid-70s. Naomi woke up in Sophia's apartment, where she had spent the night along with Helena. They had made a celebration of it, staying up late talking and laughing, painting their nails, sharing stories. It had felt like the slumber parties Naomi had always imagined having but never experienced as a child. "How are you feeling?" Helena asked, bringing Naomi coffee in bed like she was still a child on Christmas morning. "Happy," Naomi said simply. "Just happy." The morning passed in a beautiful blur. Hair and makeup artists arrived at 8. The bridesmaids, just Sophia and 2 of Naomi's close friends from work, gathered in Sophia's living room. They laughed and took pictures and helped each other with zippers and jewelry. Helena moved between them all, making sure everyone had what they needed, calm and competent as always. When it was time for Naomi to put on her dress, Helena helped her step into it, carefully pulling up the zipper and fastening the delicate buttons at the back. "Look at yourself," Helena said softly, turning Naomi toward the mirror. Naomi looked. The woman staring back at her was confident and radiant. Happy in a way that came from deep inside, not from performing or pretending. She looked like a woman who was loved and who knew it. "You're beautiful," Helena said, her eyes shining with tears. "The most beautiful bride I've ever seen." "Don't make me cry," Naomi said, laughing. "My makeup will run." "Too late," Sophia called from across the room. "We're all crying." They arrived at the garden venue at noon. The ceremony wasn't until 3, but there were last-minute details to handle and photos to take. The venue was stunning. White chairs set up on the lawn, facing an arch covered in flowers. Tables for the reception decorated in cream and green, with centerpieces of roses and eucalyptus. String lights hung between trees, ready to glow as evening fell. Paul found Naomi in the bridal suite, where she was taking a moment of quiet before the ceremony. "Can I come in?" he asked. "Of course." He walked in and stopped, looking at her with the same expression Helena had worn. Pride and love and a touch of wonder. "You look like a princess," he said. "Camden is a lucky man." "I'm lucky too," Naomi said. "To have found him. To have found all of you." Paul handed her a small wrapped box. "Your mother and I wanted to give you this. Something for today." Naomi opened it to find a delicate gold bracelet with small charms. A tiny house representing family. A heart representing love. A book representing wisdom. "It's from both of us," Paul said. "To remind you that you're always home with us. Always loved. Always part of this family no matter what." Naomi hugged him tightly. "Thank you. For everything. For being the father I always needed." "It's been my honor," Paul said, his voice thick with emotion. At 2:30, guests started arriving. Naomi watched from the bridal suite window as people found their seats. Camden's family filling several rows. Friends from work, from Naomi's trivia team, from various parts of her life. The Rodriguez extended family, cousins and aunts and uncles who had welcomed Naomi as one of their own. And then, arriving just 10 minutes before the ceremony was scheduled to start, she saw them. Patricia, Roger, and Bethany. They were dressed formally, Patricia in a navy dress, Roger in a suit, Bethany in something elegant and understated. They looked uncomfortable, out of place. They stood at the back for a moment, uncertain, before an usher guided them to seats. In the back. Not in the front row reserved for family. In the back like regular guests. Exactly what Naomi had planned. She felt nothing looking at them. No anger. No sadness. No guilt. They were just people she used to know, attending a wedding like any other guest. "Ready?" Helena asked, appearing in the doorway in her beautiful burgundy mother-of-the-bride dress. "So ready," Naomi said. The ceremony was small and intimate. Benjamin stood at the altar, looking surprisingly official in his suit despite his usual casual demeanor. Camden stood next to him, and when his eyes found Naomi at the back of the aisle, his face lit up with such pure joy that Naomi felt her breath catch. The music started. Sophia walked down the aisle first, followed by Naomi's 2 work friends. Then it was Naomi's turn. Helena took her arm. "This is it, mihija. Your moment." They walked down the aisle together, Helena's hand steady on Naomi's arm. Every step felt significant. Every face they passed was someone who truly cared about her. Friends, colleagues, family members who had chosen to be here, chosen to celebrate this love. Naomi didn't look at the back row where Patricia, Roger, and Bethany sat. She kept her eyes on Camden, on the man who loved her completely and had never made her feel like she had to earn his affection. When they reached the altar, Benjamin asked the traditional question, "Who gives this woman to be married?" Helena answered clearly, her voice strong, "Her father Paul and I do with all our love." She hugged Naomi tightly, whispered, "I love you" in her ear, and then placed Naomi's hand in Camden's before taking her seat in the front row next to Paul. The ceremony was beautiful. Benjamin struck the perfect balance between heartfelt and humorous in his remarks. He talked about how Naomi and Camden had found each other through the Rodriguez family, how they had built their relationship on mutual respect and genuine friendship. Love isn't about finding someone perfect, Benjamin said. It's about finding someone who sees all your imperfections and loves you anyway. Someone who chooses you, every single day. That's what these two have. That's what makes this love real. Naomi and Camden exchanged vows they had written themselves. Camden promised to always make her feel valued, to celebrate her successes, to be her partner in building a life filled with purpose and joy. Naomi promised to love him honestly, to be his safe place, to choose him every day the way he chose her. When Benjamin pronounced them married and Camden kissed her, the garden erupted in applause. Naomi turned to face their guests as husband and wife, and she was smiling so widely her cheeks hurt. The reception was everything Naomi had dreamed of. Good food, better company, dancing under string lights as the sun set. Paul gave a father of the bride speech that had everyone laughing and crying. He talked about the first time he met Naomi, how immediately she had felt like family, how watching her grow into herself over the past 2 years had been one of his greatest joys. I didn't get to raise Naomi from birth, Paul said, his voice emotional. But I've been privileged to be part of her becoming. And I am so proud to call her my daughter. So grateful she chose our family. So happy to see her marry a man who treats her the way she deserves to be treated. Sophia's maid of honor speech was funny and touching, talking about how quickly she and Naomi had bonded, how having a sister had been one of the best gifts of her life. Some people are lucky enough to be born into the right family, Sophia said. But Naomi was brave enough to find her right family. And we're the lucky ones that she found us. Naomi danced with Camden for their first dance. Then Paul cut in and she danced with her father while Helena wiped away happy tears. Then Benjamin cut in, then friends, then Camden's father, then back to Camden. At one point in the evening, Naomi noticed Patricia, Roger, and Bethany standing awkwardly by a table near the edge of the reception area. They looked like they wanted to approach but didn't know how. Patricia kept looking at Helena with an expression that might have been jealousy or regret or simple confusion. Bethany looked younger than Naomi remembered, tired and uncertain. Sophia noticed Naomi looking at them. "Want me to run interference if they try to start something?" she offered. "No," Naomi said. "If they want to talk to me, I'll be polite. But I'm not going over there. Not on my wedding day. Today is about celebrating with the people I love." As if on cue, Camden appeared at her side, pulling her back onto the dance floor. They were surrounded immediately by the Rodriguez family and their friends, everyone dancing and laughing together. Late in the reception, after the cake had been cut and most of the formal events had concluded, Patricia finally approached. She looked smaller somehow, less formidable than Naomi remembered. "Naomi, can we talk for a minute?" she asked quietly. Naomi glanced at Camden, who squeezed her hand supportively and then stepped away to give them privacy. "It was a beautiful wedding," Patricia said. "Everything was lovely. Thank you. Helena seems very nice." "She is. She's an incredible mother." Patricia flinched. "Naomi, I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. Watching you today, seeing how happy you are, how loved you are by these people. I think I'm starting to understand what you've been trying to tell me." "Oh." Naomi kept her voice neutral, not willing to make this easier for Patricia. "I can see that we failed you. Your father and I and Bethany. We've never made you feel as valued as these people have in just 2 years. And I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for all the times I chose your sister over you. I'm sorry for telling you not to come home for Thanksgiving. I'm sorry for not being the mother you deserved." It was the apology Naomi had wanted for years. But now that it was here, it felt hollow. Too late. Too much damage had been done. "I appreciate you saying that," Naomi said carefully. "But I need you to understand something. I've moved on. I'm happy now. I have a family who loves me, a husband who treats me well, a life that fulfills me. I don't need validation from you anymore. I don't need you to suddenly realize I was worth paying attention to. I've already learned my worth from people who actually cared to show it to me." Patricia's eyes filled with tears. "So there's no chance for us? No way to repair our relationship?" "I don't know," Naomi said honestly. "Maybe someday. But it would take time and consistent effort on your part. Not just apologizing because you feel guilty at my wedding. Real change. Real effort. Really showing up for me in the way I've needed you to my whole life. And I'm not sure you're capable of that." "I want to try," Patricia said. "Then try. But don't expect me to trust you immediately. Don't expect me to give you a place of honor in my life just because you've decided you want one. You've had 28 years to be my mother. You chose not to be. The consequences of that choice are on you, not me. Roger appeared then, standing awkwardly beside Patricia. Congratulations, Naomi, he said stiffly. You look very happy. I am happy, Naomi said. Your young man seems decent, Roger offered, as if that was high praise. He's wonderful. He's kind and supportive and treats me like I matter. Like I'm worthy of love and attention and respect. It's a completely new experience for me, having a man in my life who actually shows up. Roger had the grace to look ashamed. I could have done better by you, he admitted quietly. I let your mother make all the decisions about the family dynamics, and that was wrong. I should have fought for you. I should have made sure you knew you mattered. Yes, you should have, Naomi agreed. But you didn't. And I've made peace with that. I found a father who does fight for me. Paul has done more for me in 2 years than you've done. In my entire life. He's the one I'm going to call when I need advice. He's the one who will be grandfather to my children. You made your choice, Dad. You chose to be passive. You chose to let Mom favor Bethany. You chose to never stand up for me. Those choices have consequences. Bethany had been hovering nearby, and now she stepped forward. Naomi, I just want to say, you were right. About everything. My marriage is falling apart. I've been miserable. And I keep thinking that if I had a real relationship with my sister, maybe I'd have someone to talk to. Someone who would be honest with me. I'm sorry you're going through a hard time, Naomi said, and she meant it. She wasn't cruel enough to take pleasure in Bethany's struggles. But I can't be that person for you. You spent our entire lives treating me like an inconvenience. You actively worked to exclude me. You told Mom you didn't want me at Thanksgiving. You kicked me out of your wedding. You've never once treated me like a sister. I don't have any relationship with you to draw on. We're strangers who happen to be related. I know, Bethany said, tears streaming down her face. I know I was horrible to you. I was jealous and competitive and cruel. And now I'm reaping what I sowed. You have this beautiful life and this amazing family, and I have a marriage that's falling apart and no real friends because I've always been too busy competing with everyone. It should have felt good hearing Bethany admit her failures. But Naomi just felt tired. I hope you figure things out, she said. I really do. But your struggles aren't my responsibility. I'm not going to set myself on fire to keep you warm. Not anymore. I understand, Bethany whispered. Camden reappeared at Naomi's side, his presence a solid reminder of where her life was now. Everything okay here? He asked. Everything's fine, Naomi said, leaning into him. Patricia, Roger, Bethany, thank you for coming. It meant something that you were here. But I need to get back to my wedding now. Back to the people who are actually celebrating with me. She turned and walked away with Camden, leaving her biological family standing there. She didn't look back. She had spent too many years looking back, hoping they would finally see her, finally choose her, finally love her the way she deserved. Instead, she looked ahead at the dance floor where the Rodriguez family was waiting. Helena and Paul dancing together, Sophia laughing with Benjamin, friends and chosen family all celebrating together. This was her tribe. These were her people. This was where she belonged. You okay? Camden asked as they walked. I'm perfect, Naomi said. I just told my biological family the truth. Set my boundaries. And now I'm going to dance with my real family and enjoy my wedding. That's my girl, Camden said, kissing her temple. They rejoined the celebration, and Naomi lost herself in the joy of it. She danced with Helena, who held her tight and whispered how proud she was. She danced with Paul, who called her his daughter and meant it. She danced with Sophia and Benjamin, her siblings in every way that mattered. She danced with Camden, her husband, the man who had shown her what healthy love looked like. Later in the evening, Naomi noticed that Patricia, Roger, and Bethany had left. They hadn't said goodbye, just slipped away at some point. She felt nothing about their departure. No guilt. No sadness. No relief. Just nothing. They were part of her past and she had made peace with that. As the night wound down and guests started leaving, the Rodriguez family stayed close. They helped with final details, made sure everything was packed up properly, took care of logistics so Naomi and Camden could just enjoy their last moments as newlyweds at the venue. Thank you, Naomi said to Helena as they stood together watching the venue staff clean up. For everything. For inviting me to your table that Thanksgiving. For choosing me. For loving me. For being my mom. None of this would exist without you. Helena cupped Naomi's face in her hands. You saved us too, Mihija. You brought so much love and light into our family. We're the lucky ones. We got to be part of your story. We got to watch you bloom. We got to be your family. That's the greatest gift we could ever receive. As Naomi and Camden finally left for their honeymoon, driving away under a sky full of stars, Naomi felt completely at peace. She thought about that Thanksgiving dinner 2 years ago, sitting alone in a restaurant, heartbroken and lost. She thought about the kind woman who had invited her to join her family's table. She thought about every Sunday dinner, every coffee date, every moment of chosen love that had led her here. She was Naomi Rodriguez now. Beloved daughter. Cherished sister. Treasured wife. Member of a family that had chosen her, fought for her, celebrated her. She had everything she had ever wanted, not because her biological family had finally recognized her worth, but because she had been brave enough to accept love from people who actually offered it. Sometimes families were born. Sometimes they were chosen. Naomi had been fortunate enough to find a family that chose her, legally and permanently and without reservation. And that made all the difference. She looked at Camden driving beside her, then at the text messages already coming through from Sophia and Benjamin and Helena and Paul. Her family. Her real, true chosen family. And she smiled, knowing that her happily ever after wasn't just beginning. It had started 2 years ago in a restaurant on Thanksgiving, when a stranger had seen her sitting alone and decided she deserved better. She had deserved better. And now she had it.